So did we get the home fires burning today or what?
No kidding. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm at home today. I am doing some cooking. I got stuff still going on over here. It's been an interesting day, but how best to make our day any better is to end it with some good wine and some good meat.
Good wine and food. So did you
Can't
open
complain.
already? I didn't even open what I was going to do. So
I did. Actually, mine has been open for about a little bit more than an hour. I didn't want to pour it into the glass just yet, but I will do that as I talk about it. But this is a Pinot Noir glass.
oh, I didn't bring my Pinot Noir glass. I just got the regular glass out. So yeah. And I am trying to open it with my TSA approved opener.
I didn't know TSA had an approved opener.
No, it is a TSA approved opener. In other words, you can carry it through TSA and not get it taken from you.
Okay, that's I didn't know that anything could get through TSA. I mean, hello.
We look for this because I got to tell you, we've done too many times where we've tried to carry a wine opener through TSA.
Yeah, never try to just do something without TSA's approval. They're so particular. You know, you got to be very, very careful.
That is
I haven't. I'm just letting it sit for a moment. But
tell us about where you got yours from first.
So mine, I ended up with a French Pinot Noir. And there was a couple of reasons for that. One of them is if I didn't do that, then I was going to go with my Willamette Valley Vineyards, which is my go-to. So I said, you know what, I got to do something a little different because otherwise I'm just going to go with what I absolutely love. And I do have a couple of different Pinot Noirs over here, but figuring that we were having Filet Mignon, which means dainty strip, I thought, well, if I'm having a French Filet Mignon, might as well go with a French Pinot Noir. And Oregon is known, especially the Willamette Valleys, particularly about Pinot Noirs because we're in the same type of.
It's like the same. What do call that line level? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So I picked this particular one. It just says Pinot Noir, which is funny. It just reminded me of like beer, but it is product of France. This is the Chevalier du Grand Robert. I did take French, so you got to roll those R's. And it is imported by, well, it's Le Vignoble Vauquelin. So this is the winery is in this one particular area that is east of Marseille and east of Nice. It is between the ocean and the Andes mountain. So it is just like the perfect place to grow Pinot Noirs. And the Pays de OC right here, which you will see, that means that it is essentially just a local wine. And so it's country wines is what that really means. It's simple everyday wines that have charm and local characters. And they usually are medium bodied with moderate tannins. So this is supposed to be a little bit lighter, a little bit more herbal. It just smells delicious. And it used to be a vin de pays, which literally means wines from the country, OC, but they changed it back in, that was established in 87. But since 2009, they've gone to the pays D apostrophe OC. So it is that what originally has been phased out in French laws, but it's being replaced as the standardized wine labeling convention for the for the European Union, excuse me. So this particular winery was originally a distillery from back 1885. And the Michael person, he was a renowned manufacturer, and he had this clever idea of, hey, why not make liquors? And which he was distilling and christened it La Micheline. And he was an entrepreneur, but he loved the arts. So he was very much about doing or having arts in the area, promoting it in his town. And so he became a symbol. Well, for many years that the premises was not used after he had used it for many years. So 1902 he opened up this gorgeous ballroom, and he had chandeliers, and from my understanding it still has some of those characteristics, that flamboyancy, but for many years it was not used. And so the Villanobla Franc-Lieu, which is back here, they purchased it in 2017, and that's when they opened up the more recently is when they opened up that ballroom again. But they had not used it in forever and a day, and so you have this gorgeous distillery with all this history, and all of a sudden this other winery, they decide to purchase it because they wanted something closer to where their tasting room was. So that's, I'm kind of intrigued by it. The cost point was pretty inexpensive, $16. A lot of places you can find it for less, but I thought, you know what, for $16.99, I'll give it a chance, try it out, something French that's not over the top. So that was
You made me wonder how much I paid for mine as you say that.
$60.
No, I don't. I may have. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm gonna pull my steak out because it needs to rest a little bit. I have it in the air fryer right now. Just doing an additional little. I do have an air fryer, first time using it. So this is my beautiful steak. That's just. Let me see if I can get it in camera. So that is. Look at the smoke coming out of that. Look at that. You can actually see it because I have the dark color in the back. You can see the smoke coming out. So it does need to rest for a little bit longer.
Mine's been resting for 10 minutes. So,
yeah, and that's about right. So, oh, look at that. Beautiful. Oh, I love it. Love it. Love it. So in case y'all didn't know, a filet mignon means a dainty strip. So that's what it actually means. And it is the one part of the cow that's from below the ribs to the through the spine. So it's a muscle that's not really used by the cow. And so you have the tenderloin, which is the strip, and then the fillet is a very specific part of the tenderloin. And usually there's two snake shapes of meat that, kind of like a pork tenderloin. This is the beef tenderloin, and it is an area that is just the tenderest. And the filet mignon, it's there's usually only two small cuts that are out of it, which run about 6 to 8 ounces. And so that's why it's very expensive. You're looking at about $36 a pound for the most part on a filet mignon. A tenderloin will be less expensive, but it'll still probably be between 22 to 32, depending on in a plain cut or if you're just getting a choice cut. And the filet mignon and the tenderloin, there's not a whole lot of fat. So a lot of times what they'll do in a fancy restaurant is that they'll take the butter and then they'll just butter it to really get the flavors in there. I actually have a blueberry compote that I made that is absolutely delicious. I made it for pork chops, but I thought it would go very well with this to give it a lot of flavor. And I have a little salad that I'm working on. I've been just like super slow today, but that's where it's just the most tender. But because there's very little fat, it takes a little bit longer to get those flavors in there. So that's why you'll usually have them paired with a little bit of au jus or some kind of sauce or something that's just going to take it up a notch on top of that tenderness. But it's you want it at about 130 to 135 degrees. So a medium rare is really where you want it. No more than that, because otherwise it turns into a hockey puck. Again, there's no fat in it. It's very tender. So you just want something that's just gonna nom, 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 nom. So that's where I stand with this one. I still got my I'm gonna add my little mashed potatoes right here and make some
So I did mine today. I did it in the broiler. Usually I'm a grill guy, but I did this in the broiler today because I wanted to experiment with the broiler. I got quite a few of them. I got a packet of filet mignon from Costco. We've got a Costco membership. We decided to start trying some great
I
things from
almost
Costco. Yeah.
I use a local butcher, although Costco is usually my go-to for meats, and I almost got, but I said, do I really need that many, filet mignon? So I opted to just get one.
Yeah. Whereas, we've got like 5 adults here, so
Right, you're gonna use it all. I'm trying
it'll
to clean
all
up
get
my,
eaten tonight, and it'll be one of the most expensive meals in the household, but we'll eat it.
and it's once in a while you gotta splurge.
Yeah. So I chose a wine though, but while I was going, and I did get this through Costco. Again, we went to Costco on Saturday. Charles Krug Pinot Noir. I want to take a thing about Charles Krug Winery and why I chose it. Number one, it is an awesome Pinot Noir. First of all, it goes very well with the steak. But in 2012, Gwen and I, on our honeymoon, we went to Napa Valley and we were told by the flight attendant that we should go visit this place called Charles Krug. And she says it's got a history to it. It is an old winery that has got history to it. Well, it is the oldest winery in Napa Valley.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right. It was established in 1861. Right? A little bit of a, you know what I mean, history there to it. 1861. The Mondavi family purchased it and took over it in 1943. It was Peter Mondavi Sr., that is Robert Mondavi's older brother, ran the winery, and he passed away in 2016. But still, that winery, it was a total shock because we have our favorites when we go to Napa. We have our favorites when we go places, but it was like when someone suggests, especially it was interesting that it was our flight attendant who we said, yeah, we're going on our honeymoon. We're going to Napa. And she said, I used to do tastings and what do they call the tastings? Small. Now, I don't really think she was labeled as sommelier, but she was tastings at the winery. And she said she had worked there and it was a great place to go visit. So when I seen this bottle, knowing that we were going to Pinot Noir, and I seen it at Costco, I'm like, I'm getting that one for the show. And I'm kind of glad I did because I just broke it open tonight. I've not had it's 2018, not had a Charles Krug wine in probably 5 years. All right. I had one left over that I had from there when I went. But I'm just blown away at this. It's a real good match with this. Real good pair with me.
Especially when you got something that you love. Because I was looking at some California Pinot Noirs, and I said, you know what? If I'm not going to do Oregon, I want to do France. But I was really curious about some of those Central Coast or there was some Paso Robles area. So there's a few things that I was like very curious about in that area. So I won't have to look for that one because if you have it, I might be able to find it out here is my thought. Possibly, maybe, since it is Costco.
Yes.
So I think I might be able to find it. I'm adding a few cucumbers because I do have an English cucumber. So I'm like doing all the fancy schmancy little stuff because it's when you're doing this, you gotta sometimes go and like Tim said, sometimes you're gonna have a more expensive meal. But if you were to get these meals at a restaurant, the cost would be 2 to 3 times. So
I think our cost to do this tonight, for me, I don't know, you can tell yours. I probably have, and I have other steaks out there to cook for the family and a bottle of wine. Oh, probably $50. I'm saying you would probably pay $50 to $70 per plate per person to have this meal.
Yeah. Easily. Mm-hmm. Get my. And every so often we go with Sean where we're saying, okay, if we were to have purchased this, if we had gone out, how much would we have spent? So I'm going to get a beautiful picture of this because this is a different view than I normally have. And I'm going to put this over my my keyboard because I also don't want to make a mess on my new laptop that I'm trying to get used to. I'm still not used to it. But this will be a kind of a fun, different view picture that I'll post later on. So I made this blueberry compote that was, oop, there we go. Big smiles. There you go. Love it. Love it. We got to do, yes, let's do one with the, love it. I made, it was supposed to be shallots. I did onions and I sauteed them. I added the garlic to it. Then I had gotten the blueberries and I had blended the blueberries with a little bit of stock, but not a whole lot. Then I threw more blueberries and put them in with the onions and the garlic, and this and more stock, some red wine. And so this is like just, oh, I guess I should show a picture, or I should show you what my plate looks like. So that is my, let's go this way. So that's my filet mignon with my garlic butter mashed potatoes and a little green salad that I'm doing today. So I got to taste the wine before and I did splatter on me, so I'm still hurting. It really, I hadn't done that in forever.
She didn't think her makeup was good enough, so she tried to add some juice from the steak to it.
I know, right? Not a good thing to do sometimes. It's like, oh my goodness. So you can see that it's a gorgeous garnet color. It's rich, but it's not like a very, I mean, when I'm looking at it this way, I can see the color, which I do like that color. So I might actually see if I can get a picture of going this way where
artificial lighting up there, so it's kind of hard to tell with the artificial lighting because of the camera.
Yeah, you sometimes can't get the right color just because of the oh, that's going to be a fun one because we're through the glass. So it's a garnet color, which I really like. Ooh, cranberry-ish. You know, kind of a little bit on that tart side. You know how when you have cranberry juice, it leaves that little bit of a tart, but there's that little bit of sweetness. It's got some nice strawberry-esque, if you will. And a little bit of oakiness, but not too much, just a hint of wood, if you will. So it's earthy. It's definitely earthy, but it's very approachable. I like the dryness. I do like that.
So I usually would have, we were on the war, but I usually would have a cab with a steak. How about you? Or
Yes.
really, truthfully, I love a good old vine zen with a steak. Right?
Oh, okay. Get that sweetness in there.
But I'm really sitting here thinking, you know what I wished I had in a cup next to me?
Dr. Pepper.
Like Woodford Reserve to sip on. You know what I mean? Same thing. Oh, that red. Yeah. See that red? That's the red. The red you're supposed to have inside of it. And I can show you a little bit of mine. Same thing. See?
Yes.
I got a different angle of red, and again, my lights red.
Yeah,
it's a little drier than it should be.
And again, you have to be so careful with a tenderloin, and especially the filet mignon. It is so important that you don't overcook it. And you might think, you know what, I like mine well done. I like it medium well. You know what? With the filet mignon, just go medium rare.
I was actually reading on one of the recipe sites, and it said, don't don't overcook it. And I seen 7 questions. Why?
Because you'll have a hockey puck, and then
Yes.
you'll say, "What's so special about a filet mignon?"
Yeah.
Also, if you're spending $28 for a choice per pound, spend the $34.35 for prime, because the cut, the quality is going to make a huge difference. Choice versus your there's prime is the top, choice is the bottom. There's another middle one that I can't remember. And it's you're going to notice the difference. You really are. And if you've never had a filet mignon, you're going to be disappointed if you don't go with the better cut. I looked at Kroger for, because sometimes they'll have those smaller ones, bacon wrapped. The problem with the bacon wrapped is I always take off the bacon because it doesn't cook properly, because you're searing it in the bacon. It's a mess. I end up taking it off and making the bacon separate. But
It's funny. I've never liked those bacon wrap ones. I don't know why. I don't want my meats mixed. And I get it. I get why they do it, because it puts the fat there to keep some of the juice into it, right? I get the idea why they do it, but I think it affects the taste. And also, the filet mignon by putting butter onto it. I didn't put butter on mine. I put just a little bit of olive oil, not a lot, just a little bit. No, I mean, and we're talking like a dash of olive oil rubbed to it to put my salt, pepper, and then turn it. Same thing, just a dash, rub it in, sprinkle salt, pepper onto it, and that's how I put it in. And I was about 7 minutes per side, and I think my oven was kind of warm. I put it on probably about 5 minutes per side and been fine.
I did 3 per side, but then I threw it in the air fryer for another 5 minutes before I pulled it off to continue. And the reason was that I threw it in the air fryer is that when I was letting it rest, it still looked a little too raw for me. I think if I just would have let it rest the 10 minutes, it probably would have just perfect. But I wanted to try something different. I hadn't used the air fryer before, but it's still very tender. Look at that beautifulness.
Well, we chose tonight's broadcast because it is international. When we go to the international calendar, today is Filet Mignon Day. So
I'm sorry I'm poking at it, but I want everybody to see how soft it is and how pink it is. I normally don't play with my food like this. I promise.
Wait a minute. And when you bite into it, does it like it almost melts in your mouth? It is the best steak you will ever have, right?
It is one delicious cut of meat. It is absolutely delicious. This blueberry compote was, oh my goodness. It went well with the pork, and it is going very well with my filet mignon. My salad is very basic. Red leaf lettuce, little tomatoes, English cucumber, and a little bit of that blueberry compote as my dressing.
Oh man. It's a good thing I'm going to eat my dinner now. The whole family's going to be eating this thing in an hour. I'm going to want more.
You should have gotten an extra one. One for now and one for later.
I thought I was going to eat half of it. And look, here, because I look at some steaks and I look the size of them and I get the smaller piece because I feel like I can't eat it. Yeah. If you've seen the picture in the beginning, I had a good chunk. I'm 3/4 of the way through it. And I'm still going. I'm still wanting to eat it. It's just that good.
It's just buttery. Out in your mouth. In my opinion, this one had good flavor, even without the blue, because I did take a bite before, like on this end where it had no blueberry. And that tenderness, and all I had was salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic. It was just very basic. And sometimes when you have a really good cut of meat, that's all you need. Just very basic. You don't need anything fancy schmancy. You don't have to braise it. You don't have to do anything to it. Normally, I'm doing all the things to make my steak, have that really good flavor. And this time, not needed.
So there was a girl that was in the mastermind. I'm not sure if she's in Craig's mastermind anymore. Her name was Melody years ago. And I went to meet Melody when she was with her last husband and stayed up at their house in Santa Barbara. And she was big on health, taking care of your health and taking your, eating right, right? And she talked about cuts of meat. And she said, like, when we went to her house that night, they had asparagus and they had salmon, right?
Oh, okay.
And all they did with the salmon was cook it into a coconut oil and add salt and pepper.
Okay.
And I was like, to me, it was the best piece of salmon I've ever had in my life, right? And like you sit there and you go, what's the recipe? She goes, throw it in a pan, put salt and pepper onto it. That's the recipe. You know what I mean?
And get a piece of salmon. It has to be a good piece of salmon.
Yeah. Well, a good steak is the same way. I don't have to do a marinade for it. Like if I do a flat iron steak, I'll throw a rub together to put onto it. Because it's a little tougher, right? But like this, salt, pepper, put it on a little olive oil, put it in there, baby. And it comes out. This is probably the best. All right. And trust me, I've had all kinds of those, chicken fried steaks and everything down here in Texas. This is far better just by itself.
Is your wine as good as you remember it being?
Mm-hmm. It is. And it just, and I'm shocked because, again, like I told you, that guy with that steak, this Pinot Noir is perfect with it.
When you get a Pinot Noir glass, usually Rydell makes these. There's other brands, but Rydell's well known. You can actually fit a whole bottle of wine in here.
Really?
Yep. Truly, you can do that.
My doctor said I can have one glass of wine a day. I'm good. I can fit it.
Go. They actually showed, but they used water, not actual wine, because it was during a tasting and they weren't going to put a whole bottle of wine in there. But yeah, one of these fits a whole.
The best blueberry reduction ever.
Mm-hmm. It was so yummy.
Well,
I done good on that one.
Did you try sampling and doing some of this yesterday or no? Ahead of time or just today?
The blueberry, yes, because I had made the blueberry for the pork chops on Saturday, and that's when Sean said you need to put this on the Pinot Noir, on the filet mignon. And I said okay. The filet mignon wasn't picked up until today, because I couldn't find one yesterday. The heck, man!
Yeah, I got my filet mignon on Saturday and had it sitting, ready to cook today. And I got a packet of them, so I have enough here for the family tonight. But it's something that, like, it's one of those things. I thought about trying my recipe out, what I was going to do a day ahead of time, and I'm like, no, I'm going to shock myself and see how well it goes. And I didn't fire up the oven to do the broiling. I mean, I even broiled my asparagus.
Okay.
I didn't fire it up until 5 or 10 to 6.
Okay.
All right. So it was less than 30 minutes, about 30 minutes before we came on air.
Well, I was thinking of doing a barbecue, and I'm like, it is 103 degrees out. Yeah. I'm just going to stovetop. And then it got really hot in here. It's cooled down a bit, but yeah, it's it would have been good either way. But no matter what, it's a sear. That's all it is. Sear it.
Yeah.
3 minutes on each side, and then let it rest for 10 minutes. You will have a delicious steak. I did good on this steak. It is pink all the way around. And you get that nice little crispy char.
I didn't really get any crispy char on mine. I think I caught mine just about right, but I did do it kind of dry because I didn't splash a lot of like butter and stuff on it.
Well, I was going to do on the dry skillet. I ended up adding a little bit of oil. And then, of course, it got mad at me, and because I was also doing potatoes. And when I moved the potatoes, I think some of the water splatted in there. And so when I went back to it, it went, nope. It got mad at me. So I'm all hydrocortisone on me in hopes that it doesn't have a big old poofy cheek burrow as well as over here. It's crazy. But it was, I used a cast iron skillet, which I don't use all that often, but it's a lot of fun to use cast iron because it gets so hot. And then you can just sear and sear, because then that helps keep all the juices inside, and it just helps you with cooking when you sear all your sides of your meat. I do that with the tri-tip. I do that with sometimes when I do loins in the crock pot, I will sear it before I throw it in the crock pot, because I want all the juices in the middle. I want it nice and soft and tender, and I want to just pull apart when it's done.
Never thought about that. That's a pretty good idea.
It works. I'll put out, sometimes I'll use horseradish, sear it, and it's got this nice char on the outside. Oh my goodness, how did I forget? So I have this onion
Yeah.
that was thrown on the barbecue, tinted. So it was cooked. There is the fuzzy side. You pinch it open, and then you just pull it right out. So once you pull it out, you have this gorgeous, it's right next to, there's my onion.
Okay.
And it is absolutely, you can see the steam coming out. It is this sweetness of an onion. And this took like almost an hour to make. Just flipping them, being tinted on the barbecue. Sean made these.
This is the last piece of my steak, guys. I'm cleaning my plate.
Not a bad thing. My steak is still pink.
Mm-hmm.
So all the way around, I done good. But this onion is so yummy, and it means nothing. You just literally throw it on the barbecue and just tint it with foil, and just turn it. It's charred on the outside until it gets nice and gooey and soft, and serve it, and just pull it right out. It goes well with beef. It goes well with pork. You can use it with chicken also, so there's a lot of things you can do with this onion, but it's just, you can throw a little bit of salt on it if you want, just to give it a little something more else. I like it just like that.
What did you do with your potatoes?
It was a russet. I boiled it with salt, boiling water, throw it in there. Once it was soft, I drained it. I threw butter and salt, mashed it up, added a little bit of milk to make it a little creamy, and then chives on top. And what I added, because it was still not as creamy as I wanted it to be, I added a little bit more butter, and then it softened up just beautifully. Garlic. I threw garlic in there. What I do a lot of times with my potatoes, when I'm making mashed potatoes, is that I will throw like a half an onion in there, like whole, so I can pull it right out. And that's usually what I like for flavor, but this time I wanted it more garlicky, so I threw no onions in it. And then I added, yes, it was garlic out of a jar, but you can do fresh minced garlic, throw it in there, because I wanted that garlicky mashed potatoes is the feel I was going for.
Well, we found there's a store down here called Wild Four Meats and stuff, and I almost was going to get my meat from there, but I didn't. But they have these, they're like little pod cubes of garlic minced.
Okay.
So it's a clove. It's the size of a clove, but it's minced, so you can pop it in and melt it in. You don't have to go through mincing it already. And it is fresh garlic. All right, and it's kind of like in frozen cubes.
Oh, nice. Okay.
They look
You
like
can,
little egg drop cubes, but yeah.
okay. Y'all, you can freeze your herbs so that way you can just pull them out of the ice cube tray and throw them into stews or soups.
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
way you have your herbs in there, because when your herbs are thriving, you don't always need them right away. Just throw them in a little bit of broth or water, whatever you want, and let it freeze. And then you just pop it out. And it's a great way to let your herbs last a long time.
Mhm.
You could do it with
It was
lemons.
funny.
Lemon tree, ice cubes, and then you throw it in your lemonade so that way you don't water down your lemonade.
No. We still have in this house. We're still talking about the limoncello and iced tea. So after last week's episode,
Right? That was absolutely delicious.
yeah.
I had to have another once I got home.
Yeah. The things that you can do with stuff, and we forget about what we can do and freeze, right? And it's just mind blowing if we actually stop and think about some of the things we can do and freeze. Going through we just joined Costco, and I only went because the guy I have coffee with every day. One day he's like, what I mean, I'm going to Costco. I'm like, I'll go with you. And I just went over and checked out what the membership was, and I got whatever the highest tier membership was with the card, with the Visa card and everything. And I said, and it's been a few weeks. I said to Gwen, I said, let's go back and check it out. I did learn you don't go on Saturday. Everybody goes on Saturday.
Right. Go during the week.
Go during
Nobody
the week.
there. Yeah. My glasses, well, not these glasses, my previous glasses, like, and my next pair of glasses, I will be getting them there.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's just for me going through all the foods that we could get there. And I mean, I went through the meat stacks, right? I was shocked at the sushi plates they had, right? And I'm sitting there going, how can they keep that fresh? And I'm looking at it going, that looks fresher than what I got from Kroger last week. And it's in a sealed container. Like, this is something that was prepped and put into a container, and it looks fresher than what I got out of the guys. I mean, and I appreciate the guys over at Kroger because they always do me favors setting up when I want it. But anyway, it just blows my mind. But they had a big, huge jar of minced garlic, and I was sitting there going, yeah, but how often am I going to use a jar of minced garlic this big? Yeah.
All the time. All the time. I cook with a lot of onions. I cook with a lot of garlic. Today I have, because I needed it in a pinch, I grabbed this little guy. And so I got this in a pinch a couple of weeks ago, not today. So I had the little guy here because I ran out of my big jar. So I got the little one, but this is a lifesaver. I love it. Garlic lasts a long time,
Yeah, it
but
does.
this I don't have to worry about mincing. And sometimes all I want is a little bit of the flavor without the actual garlic, so I can dip in there and get some of the juices out. And it's like, oh yeah, minced garlic. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm down to my last bite too.
I'm going to be full tonight. This is
You're just gonna sit there and look pretty and go,
I'm going to have to, unbuckle a button here. All right. Sit back and relax, if some, you know what I mean. And this is in celebration today of Filet Mignon Day. And I love it when we find something on the calendar like this, that it was a food and we reversed it. We took the food, all right, to connect to our drink instead of our drink and find a food. So we did go the opposite on this one. Cheers. Yeah.
I like this. This is pretty yummy. I can't complain about my
Okay,
Pinot
so
Noir.
wait a minute. You said where it came from, but where did you get it? Did you get it from your Stafford Liquors, or did you get it from?
No, I picked it up at Kroger.
At Kroger. Okay.
Yeah, 'cause when I went to look for, I had to pick up a couple things, and I thought, well, I know that Kroger has I've gotten other sirloins, the bacon wrap ones, and so I thought, well, maybe they might have one because my Safeway did not have a filet mignon.
Yeah.
That was weird because usually they have it all. So I went to Kroger and they had nothing, and I'm like, what the heck? I mean, nothing. They didn't even have tenderloins. I'm like, okay, well, because the wine area is right there by the butcher meat area, I thought, well, do I want to stick with my Willamette Valley vineyards or try something different? I said, you know what, try something different. I'm looking and I'm looking, and all the California ones were there. And then there was a few that I knew. One of the Willamette Valley vineyards, a whole cluster was there. A to Z Winery, which I really like, was there. And then I saw there was a couple of French ones, and I almost like, do I want this one? Do I want that one? Then I saw another one, and I said, you know what? There's something about the one that says Pinot Noir that just grabbed me. And then this one had the specific indicator. And for me, that's also important because there's an indicator for a reason.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of when that one person down in California was utilizing California wines and calling them Rogue or Willamette Valley when they were clearly not from Oregon. And it's like, it's okay if you use Oregon or California grapes, but also incorporate some of the Oregon ones. But he wasn't doing that. And then he just turned his back on all the California wineries once Oregon was coming down on him. And he used the lame ass excuse and left the California wineries high and dry. And then the Oregon brewery or wineries said, you know what can we do to help support California? So they just supported California wineries and said, no, we're going to do everything we can. They made some wine they bought all the grapes that this guy had discarded. Oregon bought them and made certain blends, and part of the proceeds went back to the California wineries. So it's a very tight-knit community. And so, I appreciate that. So this reminded me of the respecting and supporting those that have their specific certifications. They've gone through the hoops to do that. Let's support them and appreciate what they're doing. So that's why I got this one. The other one didn't have that. So, and that was before I started researching all the details of it. But yeah, this area is well known. And I'm like, oh, I was just in that area, not that long ago. Didn't stop right there, but I was close enough, I was in Cannes, France, which is to the east of this area. So that's how I ended up picking up just I need to try something different. You know me, I want to try something different. What else am I gonna like?
So, well, it's true. All right. It's why I picked up this Charles Krug when I was there, because I'll bet you I have 5 to 10 different Pinot Noirs in this house because it's one of my favorite reds. All right. And I'm like, let me do that one. Right. Because it was a different one. And that's what we got to do on the show is sometimes we got to do the different ones. And I had a question I was going to ask you, and it just slipped my mind on wines that I was going to ask, and I forgot. If it comes to me, I'm going to blurt it out.
Okay. But today was just a crazy day with cooking, and that's the thing with the filet mignon. Yes, you can heat it up again. You can put it into a stew. You can make it for breakfast, with some eggs. But it's not going to be exactly the same as when you first cook it. So that's why it was one cut that I said I cannot.
That is one of the reasons why you want to do a small cut. Yeah. And it is filling. Okay. It is catching up to me right now. It is filling, and I ate bigger than I thought. And it's hitting me. So I'm gonna be food coma by the end of the show today.
I did consider coming home, making it, and then taking it to the office, and having it, because I'm 5 minutes away from the office. So I thought, I have plenty of time. But then I had to deal with everything else. And I said, I didn't want to also have to deal with mashed potatoes once I got back, because I would have had to have reheated those. Salad was fine. That's, just great. It's made, it's ready to go. And then the blueberry compote, I did not want to just throw it in the oven. I wanted to stovetop reheat it. So there was just certain things that I'm like, nope. So in my kitchen, it's got the stove over here and my sink right here, but I'm like, this is where I'm going to do it. It just was the right place for me. I'm comfortable. I even moved one of my stools over here, and I said, nope, I very seldom get to stand when I do this. So this time I'm like, I'm good.
So which brings me to the fact, all right, as we build this podcast out better and better, which still everybody thinks we have the coolest podcast in the world, and we do.
that's a curtsy. You know, I don't see it, but
Yeah.
I do curtsy.
Yeah. Thank you to you guys who are making us a great podcast. We are creating our Insiders Club because of the fact that we do want to actually take the experience of what Gladys and I do, our love for things, because believe it or not, we share a lot with each other back and forth about stuff we find in love all the time. And we didn't know, we didn't, when we met each other, we had no idea that's the stuff we were into. And that's what brought our love out for doing this in this podcast. As we do it, eventually we'll have studios that have a kitchen set up, and we'll just go to our kitchens every Monday night and create. Our kitchen
I do have
studio.
Yeah, I have a client that does she posts on Instagram a lot and she does videos, and she has great Mexican food. And I already told her when I started, because she was at the summer concert series with Rotary last week or the week before, because last week we had the Hit Machine and the Mooses, but the week before I had told her, I said, I'm going to invade your space. I said, I don't know exactly when we'll coordinate, but I know she has all the tech. So I'm like, I'm going to use her space. The only thing is, she is a little away from me. It's like, depending on the time of day, it could be half an hour, it could be an hour. So it's a coordination to see her, but that'll be kind of fun to be an actual commercial kitchen and do the things. That'll be like, ooh, that'll be fun.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, like next week we have, speaking of Mexican, next week we're going to be doing tacos again, because we have brisket tacos, because it's Whiskey Sour Day. And we got to honor Whiskey Sour Day. Come on, man. Everybody's got to have a Whiskey Sour. So we decided to do brisket tacos with it. And I'm gonna get my Fuzzies brisket tacos. I'm gonna order them, go down and pick them up just before the show, because I love their brisket tacos.
So I'm debating if I'm going to make a brisket, because I love making a brisket. The brisket. Oh, I marinate my brisket and just babysit it and just flip it in my little marinade before I throw it on the grill and cook it, spin it, cook it. And oh, it's so yummy.
I'm dying to do a brisket in my smoker, but at 106 degrees, I do not want to stand outside next to that thing. Just not in my wheelhouse. Yeah.
Well, it has to cool off. That's why I'm debating, because I do like making a brisket, but I'm debating because that's a lot of heat. Yeah, we're supposed to get up to like 106 this week. It's very hot. I mean, just going to the mailbox, I was like, this is too hot. It's nice and cool in here. It's nice and cool in my office. Not so cool out there. I did open the door to get all the smoke out as I was cooking. And I'm like, okay, I'm only going to allow so much of the heat in. And I'm like, I'll have to deal with the smoke. I closed it because I was not about to deal with that heat coming in here throughout the podcast. Nope, because then it's going to take that much longer to cool off.
It will. Yeah. So true. So true. But all in all, I think this was an interesting experiment this week, because of the fact that really we both love steaks. I mean, I only wished with that steak I should have thought enough to have a small sifter of a whiskey, a good whiskey or a good bourbon. Yeah.
Well, while everybody else is having their steak, you can sit there with a nice whiskey or bourbon and just enjoy conversation.
That's it. I'll finish my evening off that way. So anyway, you have any shout outs this week?
Oh my goodness. Well, I will, to my neighbor, Chef Michael. He picked up the steak for me. I'm like, I can't find a damn steak. And he's all, I'll pick one up. He goes, and I go, yeah, I'll get home. And it's like, it's like, I have it. So I grabbed it, came over here. I was already cooking, doing my other things. So I will have to thank him for picking it up, because I'm like, I didn't just want any steak. I wanted a good quality steak. And he was in the area of Gardner's meat. So picked up and called me. It's like, hey, this is what they have. Do you want it? I said, yes, please. So I owe him for that one, literally.
Cool.
So that's this week's shout out for being kind to me. Thank you so much. It was a crazy day. I was going to go see a client, and I'm like, you know what? Traffic's bad. It was either drop off today or drop off tomorrow. I said tomorrow morning, because it would have taken me over an hour to do that, get there, drop off, and come back. Whereas tomorrow it'll take me like 35 minutes.
No.
So thank you for understanding.
Yeah. So I mean, it's so great when we have people who back us up on our thing here, and I mean, I've got people, you do too, but we've got people reaching out to us now who are sales reps for these off brands that we're like, hey, we're interested, and we're like, hey, we'll have you. You
Let's
get
check
product
it
to
out.
us both. We will
Right?
bring you on the show, baby.
Well,
But
great. I mean, I tried Pinot Noir, and I'm happy with it. So not
yeah,
complaining, just explaining.
it's a cool thing when we find what we find. So,
Yep.
um,
So folks, go to Like the Way You Drink if you're enjoying, if you want to be part of the Insiders Club, if you want to know what the heck I'm doing on Friday morning, to put into a barrel. That's the kind of stuff you all get to know a little bit about before it happens.
cool,
So
cool. So,
likethewayyoudrink.com, sign up, no cost to you, and you'll be part of the Insiders Club.
yep. So,
Yeah.
um,
Um,
I mean, I would do a shout out to you. We're at 7. We have now surpassed my other podcasts, except for Tim Gillette show, which I come on, I did that
You've
for
been
10
doing
years.
that for a while.
Yeah, but the other podcasts that I have kind of winding down and winding out, and this one here is still going strong, and we're at episode 72, which my other podcast, that's as far as it went, was 72. We next week will bypass it in this one here with episodes. So and
All I got is my little. I
yeah,
usually have a pom pom. I
usually
don't
have
have my
you usually
pom.
have your little pom pom and you don't, but
So
shout out. My shout out this week is to you, Gladys, for really being my partner for on this for the past 2 years now. We this idea started 2 years ago this month. All right, 2
and I
years ago.
thought about that
Yeah.
just recently.
Yeah, and it's mind blowing that 2 years later, I consider Gladys and Sean, your boyfriend, some of my closest friends now, right? In life. And like 2 years ago, a little more than 2 years ago, we knew who each other were, but we weren't really friends. Now we talk at least once or twice a week.
I text him, and he responds back. So he's on speed dial.
Yeah. So yeah, Sean's gonna be there. Yeah, Sean, I do. I consider Sean one of my closest friends too. I know I've not met Sean in person yet, but I talk so much to you and to Sean that I feel you guys are part of my family now, and I appreciate you both. So my cheers are to you guys this week. I appreciate you both for being in my life.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you too.
With that being said, we're coming up close to the top of the hour. This podcast is brought to you every week by the two businesses that we happen to run. We are business people, ladies and gentlemen. We believe in being in business. Yes, we do things like this for fun, but hey, we're both business people, and we both believe business is about serving people. So, with that being said, I'm going to give it to the female and the group and let her go. Boom! Tell us about your business.
Thanks, Tim. I am Gladys Boutwell, Insurance by Design, helping small business owners with attracting and retaining quality staff, and they do that through employee benefits. You can go to insurancedesignpros.com. On the upper left-hand corner, you will see a little place where you can get a white paper on 101 ways that you can provide employee benefits for all budgets. And if you are losing your Medicaid in your state, let me know. I will find you a broker. If I can't help you, guess what? I know somebody who will. That's Gladys Boutwell, Insurance by Design, and find me at insurancedesignpros.com. And this is my co-host. Take it away.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gladys. Tim Gillette, simple, easy websites. Yeah, I believe you should be on the internet. You should have a website that, number one, tells people who you are, tells them how to get a hold of you. Number three, it better be making you money. It's got to be leading down the sales process one way, shape, or form. So I created simple, easy websites to solve that problem for you. Our tagline is, if your website's not making money, we can fix it for you. All right. That is what we truly believe in. I think you should be on the web. If you're not, go to simpleeasywebsites.com, book an appointment with me. I'll go over your website with you. I'll tell you how to fix it, even if you don't hire us. Go to simpleeasywebsites.com, book that time with me. All right. And it'll be either me or my daughter, Jess, and we'll go over your website with you, and we will give you some things that make your website make you money. So that being said, last shout out is going to be for I'm going to say it, the Insiders Club. All right. There are more things that we're coming up with for this Insiders Club. And I think this is going to be the most fun thing in the world, creating an Insiders Club for drinking.
You know, we find so much fun stuff out there that we want to share with all of you. And sometimes it's like, what do we do with it? Do we bombard everybody with it? But we're gonna be very particular. You know, we're gonna be sharing information. We're gonna be sharing recipes. We're gonna be sharing specific releases that only y'all will be getting and nobody else.
That's right.
We're just saying, you'll be the first to know.
So, all right, guys. Well, we will be back here next week when we do whiskey sours on Whiskey Sour Day. Cheers to everyone. Enjoy your filet mignon day.
Bye, y'all.
All right. Bye, guys.